So, Talon, it's your turn.
Yeah, no, finally. It's my turn. Yeah.
So, let me start this off by saying I found Talon a deer.
No, time out. I'm going to start this off by saying that's false information.
I can do this right.
That's false
I
information.
can do this right, and Tim will appreciate this. Their daddy found them a deer.
All right. Yeah. It took me closing the deal, though, because he ain't good enough to kill it. But, yeah.
No, in all seriousness, though, so I'll start it out for just a second. So we've been getting this deer. Okay, first of all, our last podcast we talked about, or the podcast before that, the Kicker podcast,
Yeah.
we talked about a deer we called the Big 8.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is the Big 8.
Yeah, this is him.
This is him. So we all talked about in the Kicker podcast, too, that we were going to rename him. Well, he got a name at the very last minute. So me and Talon had been on this deer for...
not really the very last minute. I mean, it was within the 8 days.
That's what...
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
well,
I guess
good gracious.
very last minute.
We went all year long, and then the last 8 days, we
very last
finally
minute, very last
renamed
minute.
him. But when I get pictures of the Big 8, I was after him to start with at the first of the year before I got pictures of Kicker, and I changed my direction to Kicker. I killed Kicker, and we didn't get pictures of the Big 8 until probably 1st of January. And you killed him on what date?
I can't even remember now.
Well,
I don't know the exact date.
I don't know. It's the...
I can take a look and tell you, but it wasn't long after
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, it wasn't.
but yeah, this is the Big 8. So we hunted this deer probably, how many times we sat on him? I sat with you a few
8 times
just
8
because
times.
of the
Friday. What was Friday?
like 18th or 20th, maybe something like that.
Something like that. 18th.
Okay, so we sat on this deer. Regardless, we sat on this deer a few times,
The 19th. 19th.
and we started getting pictures of this deer in January, 1st of January. Mm-hmm. We'd be in the field. We'd be in the field by the river, which the power lines. Same place I killed Kicker, just about probably 30 yards from the spot I killed Kicker.
him, yeah.
You killed who? Well,
yeah. The
yeah.
Big 8.
So yeah, the Big 8 at this point in time. But yeah, so we started hunting this deer, and every time we'd get trail camera pictures, we got several of them. He'd be in the top field, and then he'd be in the power line. Then he'd be in the top field, then he'd be in the power line. So we'd go to the power line, and then later that night, we'd get him in the top field. Mm-hmm. We'd go to the top field. Later that night, we'd get him
On the power line.
in the power line. So everywhere we went, or it felt like everywhere we went, he was somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So that's how he got his name.
Houdini.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
where my Instagram caption came from.
Yeah.
Houdini ran out of tricks.
Houdini.
That's it. That was a good
That was
Instagram
good.
caption. Houdini ran out of tricks. He
Yeah.
did run out of tricks. He quit tricking that day.
Yep.
But yeah, so it was a kind of a wild day from the start because it was my last day at my previous job. So let me just start from when I woke up. I hit the snooze button.
I'm ready for this. I'm ready for
I
this.
hit the snooze button. Let's twist the clock back.
Let's
the way
all be
back.
honest. He's lucky you had a job.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It was my last job in last day of work at my old job in Prattville. So it was kind of a whack day that day anyways. I mean, I had to go to work for the first half of the day. Went and ate lunch with them, and I was like, I wanted to go hunting that day, but wasn't sure if I was going to make it or not because of, going to eat lunch and stuff like that. And I didn't want to disrespect them and say, I'm not going to eat with y'all. I'm going hunting. So I went and ate lunch with them, and it all worked out. I ended up leaving there about 1 o'clock and headed to Op, and Dad was like, we're going to go to Dothan, so I just forgot all about deer hunting. Ended up getting through Brantley about 2:50. Got to Brantley about 2:50, and I called Dad, and I was like, I'm fixing to go deer hunting, This might be, and I just, the whole time, I'm telling you this part is because the whole time on the way back, I was headed there, and I was like, these days are the days that you don't go and he comes in. The day you're gonna get there late, and you're like, I'm not gonna go today.
Everything feels like everything goes wrong.
Yeah. And the whole way I was driving back, I was like, I've got to go because if I don't, he's fixing to come in. I know he is. So I was headed back. I called Dad. I said, I'm fixing to go. So got home. Still wearing that's when I had my Alabama stuff on in the picture. I looked like a lawyer in the picture because
I told Talon, I said, You ain't got no camouflage? He said, I threw my coveralls on over my work stuff. I said, well, it looks like you ran him over on the side of the road and took a picture with a big buck. I said, everybody's going to think you just run him over.
I did. I threw on Dad's coveralls, his big old coveralls. You know, they were, I don't know, what is he, 3X now?
Yeah, man.
Something like that. He's huge.
You definitely had to make do.
Yeah. Nah, but threw on his stuff, and it was definitely big on me. Probably smelled like the fried food I ate at lunch that day.
Yeah.
Didn't care. I was still going. So, told Jansen I was going to go, all that kind of stuff. Got there, and as soon as I climb up in the shooting house, Ghost, which is another deer that we've been hunting, not quite as big as the other two, you know, the big 8. He's actually a good bit smaller, but he ended up walking about 15 minutes after I sat down in the stand, walked across, and he was probably in the plot for 30 seconds. I mean, so I was like, dang, he got through there quick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So at that moment,
You didn't have any interest in shooting him?
yeah, well, I mean, I did want to shoot
If
him.
we didn't have pictures of Houdini.
I would have probably shot him, which I wanted to shoot him because who knew if Houdini was going to come out. And this could have been the last time, you know, he might not ever show back up. And he's a decent 8 point.
To kill big bucks, you got to keep the faith.
Yeah. So I was like, but I couldn't make myself do it. I said, he's going to come today, you know. Texted Jansen.
He did text us.
Well, I'll get to that. Yeah. I'll get to that. So the 8 point walks out, and I was like, golly. And I debated it. I was like, should I shoot this deer? I ended up just letting him go on through. Well, he got on through, and usually once they get that riverside, they gone for the day, you know.
Yeah.
And once they come across, they stay down in that river until the next day or something. They'll cross back over. But so he got through, and I was like, "Fud, I should have shot him." Well, it was like maybe an hour or so later, and all of a sudden I start hearing, after he gets through, about 30 minutes later, I start hearing.
So
just
what time did he come through? The first deer.
I mean, I didn't get into the stand until maybe 3:45, 3:30. 3:35, 3:45.
pretty late, yeah.
I mean, later than what I would like to.
We usually try to get in by at least 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
So it was about, I think you texted us and said in the stand about 3:45,
Somewhere around
3:35, something like that.
Yeah, and probably 4 o'clock he came across. And
were there does in the food plot when you got there?
no, nothing was in the food plot when I got there, and that's what kind of like 'cause
Not
most
even.
of the time
Not even.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the tide crew.
The crew's back there behind
the
us.
crew. That's what we call a crew of does that
It's
come
7
out behind us.
It's 7 does.
Yeah, 7 does. And
Every day.
We call them what I don't give a piss about nothing but the tide crew.
Yeah.
Because
You can-
Willie, the Alabama guy, that's what he says and stuff.
And you can turn.
You can do whatever you want.
You can drop your gun. They don't even look up.
Yeah, they just.
I mean,
there.
it's insane.
Yeah, they're just there. So I mean,
So me and Talon sitting in the stand one day, and he says, "They don't even look up. They don't care that we're here." I said, "I know." He said, "That's the I don't give a piss about nothing but the tide crew." I said, "That's their name. That's their name."
that's what we gave them, and they always are out there. So,
Yeah.
and even when me and Jansen would show up late or something, they'd be out there in the food plot. We'd climb up in the shooting house, and they'd stay there. Like we'd just climb right up there, and they'd look at us.
They stay out in the plot.
They stay out in the plot. I mean, it's like trained does to get Houdini's little punky in there so we can shoot him.
Yeah.
So,
What's crazy though is we've never seen a buck run any of them.
not one of them. Only one buck has ever come out across on the other side. And I mean, they're just little bitty old bucks. But other than that, all of them come in front of us. They don't mess with them. So
Yeah.
Man.
but yeah, I got in there about 3:45. He came across. Shortly after that, about 30 minutes later, I hear just fighting, just all down in there to the right towards the river. And I was like, right then I was like, dang, Houdini's down in there fighting that little 8 point that just come through, trying to run him out of here. Nope. I thought that. Well, Spike, I guess, had heard that. And we call him Nubhead. Me and Jansen call him Nubhead. We got a name for every one of them down there. We got a name for all of them. So Nubhead he come out quick out of the woods. Most of the time they'll ease out. Well, he come out there looking to see what was fighting. And he hung out there for about an hour or so. And the crew behind me ended up coming out shortly with him. And I didn't pay them much of attention. They're always out there, and nothing ever comes out there with them. They had made, most of the time, they stay over there like a ways away. for some reason, they had made we have a little food plot right behind the shooting house. Or I say a food plot, a power line. There's a section of power line, then there's sagebrush, and then there's behind the shooting house, there's a whole nother food plot type thing that goes up a hill.
It's all power line.
Yeah, it's all power line. Or another part of the
sage
something's planted there.
Yeah. Sage goes. It separates the two.
Yeah,
from
planted
to planted.
sections,
You know. Yeah.
So they always stay in that back section, and I was like, I'm not worried about them. I turn around. I'm looking at Nubhead for a while, looking in front of me now, looking at Nubhead. I'm like, he's hanging out. He comes out every time too. Wasn't expecting anything. Then all of a sudden a doe walks out on our neighbor's property. I'm sorry, neighbors. I don't know who they are. Never seen a deer out there. A deer comes across.
No, that's a true statement. We've sat in ours, and we saw the other day. We sat in our field. We saw 17 deer.
Yeah,
Golly.
17 deer. You know how many was in the neighbor plot?
No.
And I hope I hope they do listen to this, but I hope they don't find our tricks out because there's not one in their food plot.
Not one.
Out of all the deer that's in ours, there's not one in theirs, and I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, no clue.
No clue. I mean, their field looks just like our field.
And I say an hour later. It may have been 30 minutes later because about this time it's about 4:30.
Yeah,
it's about 4:30 at this time. And, that's when everything starts getting kind of quiet and stuff. Things starts happening.
Wind starts dying down.
Yeah, that's when they all came out. And a doe walks out on the neighbor's property. And right then I sent Jansen and my dad a text. Got the text on my phone to prove it. At that time, I sent to my dad and Jansen, I said, today's going to be, I said, something's different about today. They said, why? I said, because a doe has walked out in the neighbor's plot.
That's very unheard of.
Yeah, I said, that's not normal. I said, something's up today.
Yeah.
And before I'd ever went hunting, throwback to before I went hunting that day, on the way home from Prattville, I'd called Grant, which is, my buddy from Elba. I called him. I said, hey, I might need your help today pulling this deer out. I said, if I kill him, I said, Jansen's out of town. My dad's out of town. He's in Dothan. If I need somebody to come help me pull this deer out if I kill him, just in case, So I knew, but I had that feeling in my mind today was the day. I got there, all that went down. Well, that doe walks out in the other plot, texted them, let them know, and everything started getting quiet. Another 30 minutes had went on by, and shoot. Another 30 minutes had went on by. That doe came out. I'm trying to think where I'm at.
Oh, no.
I had forgot.
Oh, no, it's staying. Oh, no, it's staying.
It's hard to tell a story like this. I'm trying not to speed through it too fast. I'm trying to get every detail down so everybody, so they can understand exactly what had happened. And
You lost me at Nubhead.
at Nubhead?
I'm joking.
I was like, dang, that's way back there. Yeah,
So the doe come out.
Yeah, and
You text us and told us
y'all
today's
that
different. Yeah.
today's different, all that kind of stuff. Well, may have been 15 minutes, 30 minutes past that, maybe around 5 o'clock, 4:45ish, somewhere around in there. And Nubhead, every time he comes out, he always he's like an arrow. So he'll throw his head up and look wherever something else is fixing to walk out at.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, every time.
He gives them away.
Every time. So he threw his head up. I said, oh, gosh, here
But
comes
most
something.
of the time when he throws his head up, we're looking behind him, and here comes a 4-point that ain't much bigger than Nubhead.
Yeah, so, Nubhead always comes out with a little, it's like his sister or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a little doe that's just a little smaller than him.
Both of them are yearlings.
They're always together. Yeah,
Right.
they're both yearlings. And I thought that's what it was going to be, was that one. Or either that 4-point that me and Jensen had seen that was chasing a doe that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just figured that. So I got my binoculars up. I was, looking at the crew behind and Nubhead. And he threw his head up. Well, he looked back down the power line about 30 to 40 yards past, probably 30 yards past the power line. Or we have a power pole that's out there. It's about 205 yards.
Yeah, I arranged it.
205.
I think it's
something
205, 203, 205, something like that.
yeah, something out there. But he looked down past that power line exactly where that 4-point had previously came out. So I just automatically thought that. Well, I looked through my binoculars down there, And I'm getting shaky in my voice thinking about
Scared.
I just bringing back good memories.
He did tell me on the way here, he was like, I'm going to have to try to hold back from crying. If I tear up, just excuse me.
I built a connection with this deer. I chased this deer all the way across.
We did hunt him hard.
Yeah, it feels like from Canada. Nah,
Yeah, we did hunt him hard, though. I mean, there was a few days you was like, I'm not going to work tomorrow. I said, are you serious? And you was like, yeah, I'm not going to work.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
Yeah, I know.
And the next day, you're in the deer stand, and I'm at work.
Yeah,
But,
I was fixing to kill this deer.
So
It
you
was the
did
last
hunt
thing
him.
I did.
You did
yeah.
hunt him hard.
Yeah, I mean, I was there pretty consistently there for a week or so.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks, however long it was. But, yeah, I was looking down through my binoculars, and all of a sudden, I mean, he stepped out, and I was like, that ain't the 4-point that I've been looking at, you know? I said, oh, gosh. And I had my gun already up, propped with the barrel out the window, in like to the right of me, already ready because of the 8-point that had previously came out.
Yeah.
You know, he had came out, and I'd got everything ready. And he kind of came at a diagonal down the power line, like because Nubhead was out there, and another doe had walked out around the same time he had walked out, and he kind of had his head down, you know, so I could see how wide he was, and I could tell that that's the deer I've been chasing, you know. And he came down towards Nubhead, so Nubhead kind of helped me out. Thanks, Nubhead. So he came down towards him, he was right in front of the power line. And he kind of started going towards the woods. He was trying to head out of there too. You know, he wasn't hanging around.
So
long.
you're talking about in front of the power pole?
Just in front of the power pole. Yeah, he was just in front of the power pole, and he was around 200 yards, something like that, 195, 200 yards, somewhere in there. And he started cutting towards them woods. I wasn't letting him get out into that river.
Heck
I said,
no.
I'm fixing to try to reach out there and touch him. You know.
So previously, if you don't mind, we kind of. Well, we named him Houdini because of the good reason that he's everywhere that we're not, he was there. You know, if we're not there, he's somewhere else, or he's not where we're at. Well, we kind of got enough trail cam pictures of the deer to kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Pattern him. So we got him coming from the river. And then the next day, he's coming back out. So he comes across the trail camera at the river, at the power line. When he comes across there, about 45 minutes later, he's up there at the top field. We get pictures of him there.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, that next morning, he's coming back from the top field, back across the power line, and it's just about,
I don't know what he had going on this day. He just
that day's the only day really we got pictures. You happen to be, just like Kicker, you happen to be there.
Yeah.
On the day you come out in daylight.
You just gotta keep going until they slip up, I guess.
The last daylight picture we have is when we caught him the Big 8, and it was before October. It was like October 1st or 2nd. We got pictures of this deer in daylight.
And look, I understand that hunting tactic where you just grind it out in one spot until they slip up and you're there.
It's hard.
I totally understand that. But doggone, if your last name is Flowers.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, both of these deer, the first time they slip up is like first or second time y'all are there in the stand.
I wasn't there. He didn't slip up many times between there because I was there pretty much every day between there.
That's true. That's true.
For the 2 weeks,
We
I didn't go to work twice.
You hunted Houdini hard.
Yeah.
Now, Kicker, on the other hand, 4-day sit. I set 4 days and killed him on the 4th day.
Yeah.
We hunted him.
But both of those deer, though, never came through at that time until y'all were there.
Yeah, we just happened to be there when he slipped up.
See, I just feel like if I try to do that, I burn out a spot.
Nah.
That's what I feel like.
I mean, yeah, I guess, well.
And here's what I was going to ask, and I guess I'll go ahead and ask it now. So Houdini, you said that at one point during the season, it seemed like if y'all were ever in this field, he was in the other and vice versa. Do you think that was just coincidence, or do you think that he had patterned y'all somehow? What do you think?
I think mostly coincidence.
Yeah, I think coincidence. I don't think he patterned us. I mean, because I don't know. Because sometimes we'd do the same thing, and then we'd leave that night, and then he'd show up in the. I mean, he'd do a little different something.
Like we'd sit. Sometimes Talon would sit in the power line, and I knew he was sitting in the power line, and I may be at the Bullard property or something like that. And Talon says, "Hey, I'm down. I'm fixing to get something to eat, or I'm going to the house," and I'll ask him what he saw. Well, literally 45 minutes after Talon gets out to stand, he's standing in front of it. So I don't think that he's patterning us.
I think he just slipped
I
up.
think he just slips up.
Yeah,
I
he started getting a little rut.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He started messing around. Came out there. The mother bucks was running through
I
there.
think this is what I think. I think he did have a pattern, and he had his consistent, what he did every day, which we got on trail camera. He would go, he would come, he would go, he would come. And what I think is this time of the year when they're cruising for does, I think if he did find something, or let's say he was at the top field, because most of the time we get him in the top field early in the mornings. Well, he got hung up a little too long. Instead of making his way back that night, he got hung up a little, or either he bedded down because of something that happened that day. He came through at 5 o'clock that afternoon when Talon killed him. Something made him come, whether it be a hot doe, whether it be whatever. Something messed his pattern up. And then that day, we just happened to be in that shooting house.
Yeah.
Or Talon happened to be there and then shoot him. But I'm a stickler for the past 3 to 4 years. I've killed a decent buck every year. Some bucks that I may should have just let walk by, but we won't talk about them. But I've killed a decent buck every year, and the way I've killed them is because I stuck with that spot. Like I got a picture of him. Every time I got a chance, I just went to that spot. Even I would sit sometimes 3 or 4 days and not even see a deer. But I knew that he's in that area somewhere, even if I'm getting pictures at night. I know he's in that area. I'm going to keep going, and then eventually, somehow, he slips up. He gets
and we
off pattern.
knew that we had not really burned out the area because, just about for those 2 weeks, we was getting a picture of him every night.
Yeah.
So we knew he was coming back to it.
Well, I guess it depends on your access, too, that you have.
Right.
And how confident you are in that. I'm just thinking back to some of my hunting spots where access is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, now, if you're not hunting a field,
Yeah.
bow hunting, in my opinion, like we do a lot, me and you, it's tough to walk through hardwoods or down a fire lane or something like that because, one, you got noise that's working against you. You got the wind that could be working against you. You've got sight. They can see you. That's working against you. And you don't know where they're bedded at. But when you go to a field or a power line and you get in the shooting house or you get in a ladder stand or your lock-on stand on the side of your power line, you got one access road. If that deer's nowhere near that access road, he's not worried about you. And especially when you shoot him at 205 yards. He's not worried about something at 205 yards.
Yeah. When I look through my scope,
But like what me and you
he
do,
looked like an ant.
we shoot them a lot of the times within 40 yards, me and you. Sometimes we go with our gun. We still shoot them within 40 yards because we're just so close and we got stands set up in hardwoods. But I do feel like a lot of the field hunting does help a lot of hunters out when you got the wind working against you. He can't hear me walking down a dirt road because I can be a lot quieter. So I'm not rustling leaves. I'm not, stuff like that. But, yeah, it does take a little more tactic to get in there and bow hunt a lot like we do.
This is, one of the details to this story. I really do like it about how you had patterned this buck with your trail cameras. And one of the ways that I like to hunt that gives me a lot of confidence that I will see this deer is that time where right before the rut, where the bucks are ready to go, but the does are not quite ready, and they are just starting to make their loop. They're starting to
cruising.
They're cruising. They're making their loop, and they're going to run that until they find a doe.
Yep.
Now, if they find a doe, then that pattern is off. But
It could be a mile off.
exactly, and yeah, exactly.
And what you just said right there is exactly what I think happened to this deer. We got pictures of Houdini, the Big 8 at that time. We got pictures of him early October. I'm telling you, we never once. I sent you them pictures in October. I said, hey, we got this picture at 12 o'clock in the afternoon in the same spot we killed him at, or Talon killed him at. And we didn't get a single picture throughout the whole year of this deer until January 1st. And, our last podcast about your deer, Flatbread, we talked about how deer change their tortuosity. And, you said, if I remember right, you said, he could be totally off the map. He could be 10 miles off. But I think you said, Taylor, or he could have just changed his tortuosity. And I said, I agree with that. I firmly believe he may have changed his tortuosity because we was getting pictures of him before season when all the traffic started when season come in, us going in, putting out corn, driving in, hunting a lot. I think he noticed there's a difference in my territory. There's a difference in my area. I've got to start making a change and change my tactics.
Well, too, this time of year where we're at, we are leaf off. Like the leaves are gone. And I noticed this because I was hunting the day that you killed him. I noticed the area that I was hunting. I could see through those hardwoods a lot better than I could in the past.
Yeah.
And when stuff like that happens, their habitat changes. They are going to shift.
That's right.
They're going to look for that thicker cover.
That's right.
So yeah, there's a lot of things like that can throw their movement off.
Yeah.
Yep. And when he started cruising for does, when January come, and we finally got a picture of him, and I said, "That's the big 8." And Talon said, "Yeah, it sure is, ain't it?" Because we pulled the video on him, and when he turned to us, I said, "That's him," because he's got this unique side. One side comes around like a regular, like a normal deer. The other side kind of almost wants to go straight out, but curves just a little. So he's very unique in that way. So we knew immediately that was him. But when we got pictures of him in January, I said, "He's cruising for does."
But before we move on, though, because we like to talk tactics too while we tell these stories, and I think this is going to be something that we might have a difference of opinion on, but it'd be cool to talk through it. Because you made the comment that y'all like to hunt in these spots, if you're getting a picture of a deer, even if it's only nighttime pictures, you know that he's in that area, and you'll hunt that spot.
Right.
Whereas me, I feel like, and I could be wrong here. I feel like if I'm only getting nighttime pictures, and it depends on what the time is now.
Yeah.
If it's just, half hour after dark,
if it's 6 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I have low confidence hunting a deer that I'm only getting nighttime pictures of. To me, I feel like I'm completely out of the ball game.
Right. Yeah.
But y'all don't feel that way.
No, not me. What time was that picture?
I guess
1:23 in the morning.
I guess too.
Yeah.
See, that's
a lot of the
a
times
great
it's-
example because I have deer that.
You can put it on there. Show 'em.
Yeah, I will.
One.
I have pictures of deer that will come through areas that I can hunt. They'll come through at night, but never see them during the day.
Right. Yeah. And you won't.
I was about to say, I went
and
8 times with never seen
and
him
that's
in
what
the
I
day.
feel like I need to point out too. I know during the rut, all bets are off.
Right.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah.
I guess where I'm coming at it is from like because I would much rather, I may be the minority in this, I would much rather hunt a buck that I can pattern or somewhat pattern.
Yeah, and the thing is about that is so even though you're getting pictures at night, you really don't know though. Like on that power line where we're at, see where I killed him, he was headed in the woods right there. You'd have never got him on camera. We'd have never seen him.
Right.
So he could be traveling and not coming up there to eat that corn back and forth through that power line.
That's
like
one of
he
the-
technically was because that's where I killed him.
That's
He was
one
back
of the
there.
biggest things that. That's what. So I was a stickler when I first started running, especially the trail cam, the cellular trail cams, cameras or whatever.
Yeah, trail cameras. Yeah.
Whatever.
Trail cam.
Can't talk. I can't talk.
Closed captioning.
Long
Just gonna have
day.
time with that.
Yeah. Long day at work. Bad, tired. But yeah. So if you're not careful, they'll lead you astray. And the one person that told me that is because I was a stickler for if I don't get the pictures of the deer, I'm not going. If I don't have nothing on camera that is not a shooter, or if I'm not getting pictures of him in the daylight, or if I'm not getting pictures of him the way I want to get pictures of him, I'm not going. And I thought of it as I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
My dad, I don't like to talk about him and how he knows all this crap. And,
Let's just cut it off.
yeah, cut this out after I say it because his recliner will probably fall over backwards. But anyway, no, love you, Pops. But anyway,
Don't cut that out.
Can we pop in a picture of him in the
absolutely, and I
suit,
got the perfect
the
picture.
Easter suit?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Love you, Pops. Yeah, cut that out with it. That was cringe.
But anyways, so yeah, Dad was like, I'm telling you, you need to go, even if you don't get pictures on the trail camera. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I mean, of course, I want to go hunting. It's not like he's talking me into going hunting, but I was down and depressed because
But you
I ain't
like to
got
have
no deer.
confidence when you go.
I like to have
That's
confidence.
me.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, believe it or not, the last 3 big bucks I've killed, that's wall hangers, and talons too, we never once would have got them on camera.
Nope.
The 9 point
'em.
last year, which we'll talk about probably eventually, the 9 point that you helped me drag out that day, walked behind me. I had all night pictures the day I was sitting in the stand because you told me they was running does that day. You had killed one earlier that day. And I said, I'm getting in the stand. I think it was like 60-something degrees that day. It was hot.
Yeah.
You had killed one that morning and said, hey, man, they're running does. I got off work and I hit the stand.
Yeah.
I had not got a picture of that 9 point. I got one picture of him at 12 o'clock at night, and I said, that's the one I'm after. The day I went, when I shot him, he would have never walked in front of the camera.
But again, this is during the rut.
Yes.
And
that
you were
was
hunting
during the rut.
does.
But now Kicker was the same way, though.
But still, you would think
Kicker
you would
was
get
on
more
November
pictures of them in the rut, though. Because, I mean, like, where they were at, what they were doing, like, the 8 point that walked across the field before it wouldn't have got him on camera. Didn't get him on camera.
No.
Didn't get him on camera
Didn't
before
get
I
Ghost.
shot him.
Right.
Didn't get Houdini on camera that day. Didn't get the 4 point that me and you saw that day.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have got him on
I'm
camera.
a firm believer that the pictures you're getting of your big bucks at night, they're probably 90% correct.
Yeah.
They are running at night because there's less movement.
Yeah.
But you're probably missing him sometimes. Like, there's no telling how many times Houdini walked across that power line in the daylight. We just happened to not
Never
be there.
seen him. Yeah.
And like Ghost, we got a picture of Ghost earlier in the season.
Yeah.
We did not get a picture of him since. So I told Dad, I said, I guess that little 8 point's gone.
Yeah.
He wasn't gone. I went 2 days in a row hunting Houdini, and Ghost went across the back of the power line in the sagebrush, which is where he got his name Ghost because he's hard to see. He went across there 2 days in a row at 4 o'clock on the dot. He went across there 2 days in a row in his pattern, in his trail, and my camera is literally 150 yards from where
Did
where
y'all
I
have
saw him.
corn in that spot?
Yeah.
At that point in time, I don't think I did.
Well, we had it the whole time when he crossed whenever I was there.
Probably.
And-
They may have been. Yeah.
Also Houdini, we never seen him cross over from the river to where he was at that day.
Yeah.
So we thought he was on the riverside still. Because,
Right.
I mean, he always crosses back to the river. So he crossed from the river back over
to the high field.
without us even knowing.
And then was going to cross back
then
to the
was gonna
river
cross back
without us
without
ever
us
knowing
knowing.
if he wouldn't have been in the stand.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, if I see a big buck, if I see a shooter that I like, I stay on his end until, and I'm up in there until
Yeah.
I kill him.
Yeah.
When I close the deal on him, I'll move to my next deer. And one of the biggest problems is if you have too many places to hunt, what we all want to do, and I'm guilty of it too, is when we see no action, even where we've got a picture of our shooter deer, when we see no action for 2 or 3 days, we always want to pick up and go to where we're
different
getting
one.
pictures of spikes
Yeah,
and
or
does
maybe
and
a little
stuff.
smaller buck.
Because maybe he'll come out. But instead, I'm a stickler for, and everybody's different. You've killed big bucks doing it your way, and we've killed big bucks doing it our way, and everybody's got their own tactics. But I like to stick with that one. Even if I'm getting pictures of others coming out every day, I just stick to that same spot until I kill him.
And it's effective. Y'all have proven that it is. But
Well, I wouldn't say that. We've only killed 2 deer in 1 year, which, I mean, it's just not bad, but still.
Maybe
we still got a lot more year. Okay, all right, big head. This guy. No, I wouldn't say that because, I mean, we still got a lot more years to come where we probably won't kill a deer. But
I guess that's just my thing is like, I like to, for me, it's like a mind game. If I go hunting, I want to have confidence that I'm going to see something.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
don't like to waste your time and just go.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
right.
lot like that tortuosity stuff that we was talking about. It's hard to just sit there and look 25 yards. I want to see a long ways, or I want to see deer when I go. And I think everybody's like that. I'm the same way. Even though I stick to that spot, I still sometimes sit in my stand and I'm thinking I need to be over at the Bullard property where I'm seeing the deer at, not here. But for some reason, I just stick to that one until I kill him, you know.
Anyways, back to my story. Where was I at?
He is at the, he's behind the light pole.
He's in front of the light pole.
He's in front of the light pole.
Okay, yeah. So he was coming diagonal towards the light pole. And I was going to let him come, you know, as far as he wanted to come. It'd be a lot easier shot on me. But he got just in front of that light pole and started heading towards the woods. And I was like, not going to let that happen. So he just stopped in his tracks. And he was kind of diagonal still, I guess, from my shot and where it went in and where it came out. He was broadside enough to put a good shot on him.
Yeah.
But he was just a little bit at an angle. And he was headed towards the woods. Well, he threw his head up I guess he saw me pick my gun up, put it up there. I didn't have to pick it up far. Threw it right up, had it on him. But my scope was zoomed all the way out because, so I cranked that thing up. For some reason, it's always like that. I don't know why it's always zoomed out every time. I don't know, which is not a bad thing because then I can adjust it to where I want it to be. Yeah, but no matter how close he comes out. But he looked like an ant out there, and I was like, this ain't good. This is going to be a poke. Well, I cranked that thing up, maybe, made him a little bigger in there. Put it on him, squeezed the trigger where I thought it was going to be. I took a deep breath, and I made sure I kept my head down on that deer there. I was like, I'm following through with this shot. I'm fixing to hit this son of a gun. So kept it on him, shot him, and I felt like I'd made a good shot. You can tell usually whenever you feel like you made a good shot. When you
think
feel like,
that.
Yeah, well, that's true, yeah.
Hey, he said the same thing. I think I heard him crash.
Yeah.
I said, 205 yards away?
Well, I mean, I didn't think I heard him running through the woods and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
and you could have heard him limbs popping.
I had definitely heard limbs popping.
And then quit.
I'm not deaf. It was quiet as a mouse out there. You can hear stuff. Mm-hmm. But, as soon as I got done, I called Jansen. I said, I just shot him. I said, I just shot the big one.
I'm at a Mexican restaurant in Arkansas duck hunting, and I walked out. Because when I got a call from him at 5 o'clock, knowing that he's in the deer stand, I was like, I said, he has smoked him.
Yeah. Called him, texted you, actually called you.
Twice.
And I forgot you probably were hunting. Called you twice and then texted you. I was like,
when you called me the one time, it started going off and I was in the stand and I muted it and I was about to, I immediately went to text you, I'm in the stand. And before I could get the message pulled up, you're calling again. I thought, oh, yeah, he got one.
Yeah.
He got one.
Well, I needed help pulling it out. And I didn't know if Grant was.
Oh, no. You remember when y'all came down there to help me with flatbread?
Yeah.
He said, I ain't dragging this thing.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I didn't mean nothing by that. I didn't mean the next one I'll drag. So,
hey, and Taylor, didn't you say when you text him and said, did you get one? He said, yes.
Yes.
That's it. No, he didn't elaborate none.
That was
yes.
it. Just yes. The shortest answer. He might as well have K'd me.
Well, that's because you didn't answer. All right. Yes. Whatever. Anyway, so ended up calling Grant, which I told him I was going to call him anyways. But he told me before that, or before the hunt, he said, call me. He said, I can come and help you before 5:30. He said, because I've got to go eat, and I'm going to go eat with one of his friends. So I ended up calling him at 5:15, saying I killed the deer. So he was on his way home from work. He went by, got the truck, came out there with me. I had by that time I had walked out to the plot to see if I could see some blood, in the plot where to make sure I hit him. Went out there, or the power line. Went out there. It was some good bright blood. It was like a splatter. Now there wasn't a lot of it, but it was like a good bit of splattered blood, and you can put the picture on there. I took a picture of it and show it on there.
Yeah.
I took a picture of it. It was pretty bright too, and I kind of looked for an where he may have went in the woods. So I followed the blood to the woods, and it went about halfway and then stopped. So I didn't want to go in there and he'd still be up and push him even further than what he because it can happen with Flatbread's story. He could not be dead.
Yeah.
And so I waited on Grant to get there, and we both had flashlights so we could find maybe some more blood. Do you have to use the bathroom?
Bad.
This guy.
Real bad.
Go use the bathroom. Can tell the story.
Is that why you're breathing heavy in the mic?
Yes. Yes. Cut this out, because I'm fixing to go pee real quick and come back and finish the story.
Pause.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're back. All right.
I feel a lot better.
Okay, he feels better. He went and used the bathroom.
I was sure doing a jig.
He's not dancing anymore. Anyways, Grant got there, went and found the blood where I'd shot the deer, the splatter. Tried to walk it to the woods, and it quit about halfway to the woods. Let's not cut me off this time. Let me get past this point, if that's all right. Can we not cut the video anymore? We're not going to cut it anymore. Okay. All right. So we ended up finding a little splatter of blood on some of the leaves where he had entered into the woods right there. We followed it in the woods, and once we got in the woods, I started doubting myself. Yeah, and it happens. It happens. So I was like, oh gosh.
I got a call in Arkansas that said, "Man, we got a little bit of we got a splatter in the food plot." He said, but I said, well, what about the entrance? What about going in?
I mean, we saw
And he's like, man, we got some blood, but
it ain't nothing.
it's
What'd you
not,
shoot him with?
It's not
I mean, it looked like
piles.
a drip of blood. You know, like dripping blood.
It's
It was
not
a
like
drip.
piles of blood, but it was pretty steady drip.
What'd you
though.
shoot him with?
270.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a pretty. It was steady. It was a steady drip, but it was just a drip. It wasn't just.
It was
everywhere.
just a drip, and we were looking through pine trees. So
Yeah.
there was pine straw all on the ground, and it's all brown. And one little, the wind could have blew a leaf over that had some of the blood on it. You know, I mean, so we had to pretty much rely on blood on the side of leaves. Is pretty much what we relied on, which we found about 4 drops on the side of leaves and stuff going into the thing where we got, and it was probably about 20 yards into the woods is where the last point of blood we found. And at that point, I was like, this ain't good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he definitely ran further than this.
Now, had I called you at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you called me not long after Grant had showed up.
Okay.
And then I was on the phone with you, hung up with you, and walked into the woods
Gotcha.
where we had found the blood. And I don't know, it was probably about 20 or 30 yards is where we found the last drop of blood. And we had looked and looked and looked. And, you know, like at that point, I was like, I went back. I just kept coming back to the source, to the last blood. I'd come back to it. I'd look for a little bit, and I'd come right back to it. And I'd look for a little bit, and I'd come right back to it. And I got to where I was like, all right, there's no blood right here. Where does it look like this deer may have ran to right here? You know, like where's the leaves or like knocked over, limbs knocked over, anything like that? And I mean, there was so many. There was a lot of deer trails in there, and I was like, I mean, he could have went this way, this way, this way. This. I was like, this ain't good. We've lost him. So thank God, Grant found, or maybe it was me, one or the other, found there was a vine that was going up a tree that was like this, and there was a piece of blood smeared on the side of the vine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nice vine, nice vine.
I thought you were about to say he was in the tree.
No.
This would have been a fake story.
He
We'd
had
have had
ran.
to cut
He
the
had
whole
ran,
thing.
and it wasn't even a drip. It was where his body
brushed.
had rubbed
Brushed
up
against it,
and it was
right.
like pretty high on the side of that. And I was,
Which is a good thing to do when you're blood trailing a deer, is to look on trees and
Yeah.
look head high. I mean, I guess you could say waist high.
Waist high, yeah.
Waist
That's
high
about
to
how
chest
high it
high,
was.
because sometimes, well, just like flatbread, you know, that stuff was so thick. I was like,
and
which y'all all know, we all know to look, but I was like, man, I was checking hard on the briars and
Yeah.
stuff that's going by, because a lot of times it won't drip. It'll
Yeah,
stay
stay
and
up
that
there
stuff
on it.
will keep him,
And
keep
their
it
fur
running
and
down
stuff,
his,
yeah.
it'll keep it running down his body.
so I may have taken a picture of it. I don't know. I can send all the pictures to you and let you put it on there so they can see it. But after we found that, it was back to that again, like no blood, nothing like that. And like there was a big old like bay leaf tree, like you know the big old cup trees with the big old leaves on it, was to the right. So we were like, you know, I mean he's definitely on the left side of it, because the blood was right there to the left of the tree, you know. And if it was on that side of the tree, then he would have had to cut back and turn around. So we looked all in this area everywhere. Looked up and down, no blood. I mean, we looked there for about probably an hour, sitting there looking for blood. Nothing. I finally said to Grant, I'm fixing to move on a little further ahead. Maybe I can find some blood that maybe dripped out a little further. And Grant said, all right, well, I'm going to go back to where that blood is, and I'm going to check around it one more time. And he went back, and I was on ahead of him. And for some reason, he went to the right around that bay leaf tree. And the deer was literally on the other side of the bay leaf tree. We had been looking all around it.
Really?
And he had cut back and like went back, and I don't know if he got like, you know, shaky legs or something and fell over right there behind the bay leaf tree. But he had cut back and went back that way around the bay leaf tree, and he was just on the other side of the bay leaf tree from us. And I have a video that Grant took
And those trees
of him finding the deer.
Yeah.
And then he videos me coming over to it and stuff and looking at the deer and seeing it.
And those trees are pretty thick too, and the leaves
Oh,
come down,
yeah, man,
so
that-
it was blocking y'all's
yeah,
view
it was
from
thick
seeing
as, I mean, it was thick.
him. So
and
there's no telling how long y'all was standing there beside the deer. And never knew he was
I
dead.
mean, he was literally the whole time when we entered the woods. After 20 yards of going in, maybe after the third drop of blood, the deer was right there. But
you
there was a
probably
there was a bay
from
leaf
the
tree.
food plot, you could have seen the bay leaf tree,
Oh,
and you didn't know he was laying there.
You can.
Yeah.
You can see it from from the food plot.
Yeah.
And he was just on the other side of him. We had no clue. We were walking all around him with the blood was leading that way, but he had cut back that way, and if it died right there. It was kind of crazy, but
We got
ready to
that
see
on
the video.
video. Yeah.
I'm ready to see it.
yeah, I got it on video, or Grant got it on video of finding
So when
it.
Grant found the deer, he started the video.
He started the video, and he's
and
like,
then Talon's trying to make his way to him.
yeah, he's like, Talon, he's right here, blah, blah, blah. He's like, here he is, just right here beside us.
Good job, Grant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank God.
For
He said,
recording it.
thank God he came, and recording it. Yeah, so.
We owe you one. We'll
Yeah.
pay you. But you can't
Yeah.
hunt with us. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Nah, yeah, come kill your deer. But,
I haven't even got that invite.
That's why I said we'll pay you. Talon's throwing out their invites, and
hey, we ain't got none left.
you take your doe mid January during
Yeah,
the rut.
that's all the deers we got.
Y'all will
Yeah.
have some because I know beginning of this deer season when I was running cameras during the summer, and I was sharing with Jansen what I had, and I was excited. And I think it was into deer season too. He's like, "Man, I just don't have any bucks really."
Mm-hmm.
And shoot, though, he went a little bit not having pictures of bucks, but when he does, it's just there's a booner.
Yeah, it's just like
I
there's a
mean-
buck. Yeah, it's a buck when he has
It makes
a buck.
my 5 or 6 little 5 points look
Yeah.
not interesting.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because like you said, sometimes I'll have a dry period where there's absolutely no deer, and Taylor's just getting big bucks all over the place, and I ain't got nothing. And then all of a sudden, here he is,
Yeah,
and
big
I'll
one.
send Taylor. I'll say, I finally got one to hunt, and I'll send it to Taylor, and he's like, of course you did.
And the way it went this year is like, you sent me that one. I finally got one to hunt. And, well, mine are gone.
That's exactly right.
All the deer
Well,
that I
ain't
saw
seen
in their
mine
summer
a week.
spots, they're gone
Yeah.
now. Let me find them again.
Yeah.
I ain't seen mine in a week, so thanks for the, yeah.
It all works out, though.
Yeah. But anyways, I got the deer. We found it, drug it out in the food plot. And bad thing is the power line. The bad thing about the power line is it's very hard to get your truck down there to the power line. And did I mention that I shot this deer at 205 yards away? But
That's a long way to drag a deer.
And mostly
oh my
uphill.
gosh.
And every
Uphill.
bit of it is up here.
You didn't
Every
have a
bit of it's
four-wheeler or
uphill.
anything?
I'll tell
No.
you this: to get down into where that deer was is
I had Grant.
steep enough that it's wide enough. Yeah, and Grant's like 260 pounds,
260 pounds.
D1 athlete, and he, but he probably put it on his shoulder and walked it up the hill. But this hill we're talking about to get down to the power line is steep enough that you don't want to take. I'm even nervous about taking a 4-wheeler down. So I'll take my 4-wheeler anywhere. If it tears up, it tears up. But I'm even nervous of flipping it, going up and down that. That's how
And
steep
you had to
this
drag
hill.
it up this thing?
And they had
We
to drag
it up.
up
Yeah.
it.
So we started right there where I got it out there in the field. This deer's, I would say the deer was probably 195 to 200 pounds.
Right.
Somewhere around in there. Drug it probably right around almost 300 yards. I mean, yeah, we got it out the woods. Or
Yeah,
drug it.
I'm glad y'all found it. and didn't
Drug
need
it out.
me.
Yeah.
drug it out the woods.
We
there.
really owe you after that 9 point last year, and then you had to do that with Talon. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, drug it out the woods from that point. Drug it all the way to the bottom. There's like a ramp there that's really washed out that you can't get your truck, really your 4-wheeler down. And got it right there. And, I mean, we stopped 4 or 5 times
Oh, yeah.
between them. But,
Oh, yeah.
We drug it halfway up that little thing. And, I mean, Grant's, 6'4", 260 pounds, and he was wore out. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was dead. But
Grant didn't go to his 8 o'clock workout.
no, not that day. He missed out on the workout that day. But yeah, we finally got it up there to it. Got it in the truck and took it to the processor and stuff. And
So tell them about that deer at the processor.
I am. I'm getting there. So, and I got a picture of them too. So, heading there, I was like, this is a good deer. He's a big body deer. He's a big old deer. And I was expecting, like not many people probably, that night. What's the chances of somebody else killing deer, that's, pretty big that night?
Horn wise, yours was the biggest.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
horn wise, mine probably was the biggest.
Yeah.
It was definitely the widest. But Bud, I mean, we got there and there was 3 studs laying there. There was 3 studs laying on there was 2 studs laying on the ground. And
Yeah.
I lowered mine. They said we got another one to add to it, and then they drug it over to it. And
There was people gathered to see this deer he's talking about.
Yeah, like every person that walked up after that, we all said, like as soon as we walked up, me and Grant both said, "My gosh, how much did that deer weigh?" Like, and they was like, "We ain't weighed it yet. We're all waiting." There was 5 of us waiting there. Next guy rolls up. it was actually Ralston
Moore.
Ralston Moore rolled
Yeah.
up. Ralston was like, Talon, you got you a big one, all that kind of stuff. And he said, holy crap, how much does that deer weigh? I mean, this is the fattest deer I've ever seen in my
Monster.
life. But, or around here, Lee Ellis and them, he killed one up there in Ohio. It was 300 something pounds.
Who is that?
Who is what?
Lee Ellis. I'm just playing.
All right, that's Seek One. If you ain't never seen Seek One,
We know. I know.
we like those guys. They like us. We talk to them a lot. But anyways,
Oh wait, Lee's calling right now.
yeah. So he went to Bama with me. He went to Bama up there. But so we all waited for that deer to be weighed, and they finally got all the deer clean, and we waited there about an hour. They threw him up on the thing, and he weighed 228 pounds.
That is a monster
Oh
around
my
here.
gosh.
So my
Could
deer,
you imagine?
So my deer, if you look at my deer in the pictures and stuff, you can kind of see how big he is. Pretty big bodied deer. He was somewhere around 195 to 200 pounds, and this deer almost weighed 30 more pounds than mine.
So how old did they think that deer was?
I don't know. I didn't.
They didn't.
No,
guess?
they didn't really. I mean,
Wow.
he had no teeth. I mean, whatever he was eating. They said he had no teeth, so he was older.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the exact age or anything like that, or what they said that they think
Horns
he might
were
be.
nice too.
I mean, yeah, he had decent horns. You'll see it in the picture.
Yeah, they were all shooter bucks.
Oh yeah, every one of them
Yeah.
was shooter buck. He was definitely a big old buck, but
His horns didn't look as big
where he come
because his
from?
body was massive.
the black belt.
Did he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just
Just
just outside
What,
of Troy, which is around Panola
around
and stuff
the
like
Black
that
Belt,
area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, he killed him up there, and I think that dude said they had. He said they hunt. It's like a he works for a guy up there that has a bunch of land that lets guys come and hunt or something like that, and he lets him hunt on it and stuff, something like that. I can't remember. I think he said 6,000 or 6. It's like a
Acres?
pile of acres.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and he's able to hunt a piece of it or something. I don't know. He's some outfitter or something outside Troy. I can't remember how many acres and stuff. It was a lot of acres, and I mean, so you're gonna have something like that
Yeah.
if you have that much land, But
Yeah.
it was pretty neat to see how big that deer was, and I talked to that boy, and we actually knew the boy,
Right.
or knew of him. I did. Grant knew him pretty well through some people, but. Yeah, it was pretty neat, but ended up gonna get mine. I think I'm gonna get him shoulder mounted, so got him caped out and all that.
Don't say you think you're going to get
Okay,
it mounted.
yeah.
You know you're going to get that thing
Get
mounted.
He's
Mounted.
already at the taxidermist. He took him the very next day.
Paid a deposit, but I don't know if I'm going to do it yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him shoulder. I reckon I'm gonna
Well,
get
I
him
hope
shoulder
Chad
mounted.
gives you your money back if you
Yeah.
decide not to.
I really wish, though, that you could have gotten the horns back and we could show them on this podcast
Yeah,
right now.
well,
that would have been cool.
I hated to ask Chad
Yeah.
for all that because I mean, as soon as I took him in, he had started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not technically started on him, but like putting stuff
Yeah.
on the horns, all that kind of stuff, So
Well, we'll have plenty of pictures of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
yeah,
It's not like
I
we're
took,
not going to be able to see it.
I took a lot of pictures of
Yeah.
pretty much the entire
Yeah.
process after I'd shot the deer. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
you'll
Good
be
job.
able to see a lot of
Once
it.
we
yeah.
get these deer that we're getting mounted, whatever podcast we have after we get them mounted or get them back home,
Yeah.
maybe we'll show the
That'd be cool.
show the
And
listeners.
in,
and
in that picture of the 3 deer, the middle one is the 228-pound one. It's the
middle.
one right next to mine.
yeah, yours
you'll be
is yours is the first.
First, you'll see.
Middle
yeah.
is the biggest, and then the
Gotcha.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the story of Houdini.
Good story.
It was.
I'm glad you got one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
finally
I'm glad
got
you got
one.
him.
And the crazy thing is, I would think, or I thought, I was like, once I kill it, or once I kill this deer, I'm not gonna have that big of a story, to tell with it.
yeah.
You got a big old story to go with it.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, it builds up.
Yeah.
No doubt. So
I feel like every deer you kill, there's a story behind it.
Yeah.
Somehow, some
Yeah.
way, and you
That's-
always replay it in your mind.
yeah, that's
till
what I
the
was
day
thinking.
You're dead.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, ain't much of a story to this deer until after you kill it, and then you're like, now there's
yeah.
a story
Yeah.
behind it once you start thinking about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
And
It
even
was
the people
fun.
that don't have podcasts, they think about their deer. I mean, the listeners that have killed big bucks before or a buck anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
any time, they think about their deer the same way we're sharing our stories now, which is why we wanted to do this
Yeah.
in the first place, is
Yeah.
to bring that story back to life and tell the story and share it with others.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We want to focus on hunting stories and tactics and all. But I think this is a good time to say that's kind of what we want to do is use this platform, I guess you could call it.
Right.
We want to get special guests in and get them to tell their stories. I know one guy has gotten up with me and offered to tell his story about a big deer that he had the opportunity to take
That will
a few
be
years ago.
good one to listen to.
Yes, it will.
And
If you don't listen to any more, that one will be a good one to listen to, I think.
Yes.
so I don't think that. So there's that one.
Yeah.
That's a story
But-
that a lot of people around our area
Want to hear.
Yes.
no
Wants to
doubt.
hear.
Well, I was talking about a different guy, but I think the guy that you guys are talking about, I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, don't give
All
it
right.
away. Yeah,
We're not going to tell you, but
But I really think that people are going to be pumped when they
To
see
hear
this
that.
story.
when they
No
see
doubt.
who we're talking
Yes,
to
no
and
doubt.
what deer we're talking about.
Yes.
Because I guarantee you, if you follow hunting whatsoever,
Yeah.
you know about this deer.
Yep.
Yes.
Heard about it.
Yes.
No
And
doubt.
we are pumped to get him on.
I'm excited
I
about
am
that
too.
one.
That one's gonna be. I'm glad I'm gonna be here to witness him telling me.
Yeah.
So I know that nobody's faked
Yes.
anything on any camera.
That's right.
And I want to be able to sit there and listen to him and tell the story.
All right. So I will.
I'm ready to see that deer in person, too.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
So
me too.
I'm gonna leak this.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
But and the reason I'm talking about it and saying this is it relates to what we were saying earlier about trail camera pictures and hunting spots, and not seeing a deer there. So in talking to him on the phone, he told me, unless I bad misunderstood something, but I don't think I did. He told me they never had that deer on camera.
Yeah.
There you go.
He was there hunting a completely different deer,
Yeah.
and there he is.
That
There
deer
you
showed
go.
up.
Yep.
That's how.
Which
that
lets
goes
you
back
know.
To do
Which
it.
lets
That
you
goes back
know.
to it. Yep.
Even if you don't have a deer on camera, get in the woods.
Bam, bam, bam. On camera does not matter.
Get in the woods.
I'm
Yeah.
going to play devil's advocate here. But
Yeah.
they were in the
Oh,
right
gosh.
spots.
Yeah.
They were in the
Yeah.
right spots.
They
Yeah,
were.
yeah, they were.
They
All
were.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, so-
Absolutely.
They knew there were bucks in the area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that is going to be a story that you want to listen to.
That is what I believe.
Even
the
if you're
kids-
not a hunter, you will understand that this one's a good one.
This one's different. This
Yes.
one's different.
that
yes.
episode is going to be what I think the kids call a banger.
A banger. A banger. That one's going to be a banger.
It's a banger,
doubt.
buddy. So
one's gonna be a
so
banger.
so be on the watch and be on the lookout for that video to come out and that podcast to
And
come
we're going
out.
to try to not have any more babies. I know I'm not. These two might, but maybe we won't cancel on any more
We've
podcasts.
had a lot of babies here lately, haven't we?
Or set any podcast back.
Yeah, so the reason Talon says that is we were supposed to record a video. I know we said this one time, but
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to cut that little intro out. But the reason we're so late in dropping the episode this week is because we were scheduled to record on a day.
Right.
And I had to cancel on y'all because my wife went into labor.
Yeah.
And we had our beautiful baby girl.
Yep.
And
Brett.
Yep, Brett. And baby's fine, mama's fine, everybody's good. So
Yep.
Maybe she
we're
took after
thankful and
Greeley.
blessed there.
Maybe she took her looks after Greeley.
I hope
We,
so.
we can only hope.
What are you trying to say? We're all on the same team here. You know that, right?
And
So what's this other podcast you're talking about?
what are you talking about?
You talked about, you said, well, not that guy, but another guy. We got somebody else coming on.
Well, we're not talking about that. We're not leaking any
Oh, I just had
information.
another guy reach out to me, and
Oh,
I shared it with you.
Yeah.
He has a cool story to go with a deer that he killed. That's his, I believe, his biggest deer to date.
Yeah.
And
Oh
anyway,
yeah, that would be. I mean, that would be neat though.
Yeah.
I mean, like if like the viewers and stuff, if they would like send us their deer and stuff like that, and if they ask if they wanted to be on the podcast and tell the story about their deer. I mean, I'm always interested to listen. We ain't got thousands of deers to tell, so and we'd like to keep the podcast going. So
that's right.
I mean,
Or yeah, that's right.
Not, we don't, everybody in Covington County, we can't do that, but I don't
not
think-
everybody in Covington County listens. Don't worry.
Our family's just listening to this anyway.
Yeah, Dad, if you want to be on it, we'll let you on it.
Our wives, if they want to talk about it, okay.
I think our last video had like 300 views.
Yeah.
200 of those are our family
Yeah.
rewatching it for us.
Rewatching it, yeah.
Hey, Mom.
Subscribe. Hey,
I
is
know,
there
I
any way I
watched it.
can delete my subscribe and subscribe again and it still count it?
Hey, Mama, will you just play the video and then just
I mean,
put
I
it in the
thought it
background
would-
somewhere? You
But
don't have to
still,
watch it.
I thought it would be
Hey,
cool
Mama,
for people to
can
send
you
us
talk-
like deers
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and we could put them
Yeah.
on the, before the stuff. and-
Absolutely.
Right.
Like, Well, we was going to get to that here in just a minute,
like
but
Deer
we've
of
got
the
a
Week.
social media page. We've got an
Yeah.
Instagram and a Facebook now.
Yeah.
That right now we have not posted a picture on, but we're fixing to post pictures every kill that we make.
Yeah.
I'm sure Houdini, Kicker, and Flatbreads are going to be on there
Yeah,
here
we'll
pretty
share that.
soon.
Yeah.
Right
But-
now, there's nothing on there
Yeah.
Right,
at this moment that we're recording this.
Right.
But by the time we drop this episode,
right.
we need to put some stuff on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll share those
absolutely.
previous episodes. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, like people send us deers,
But,
things like
hey,
that.
you
Deer of
know,
the
yeah.
week, something like that.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Share
If you kill a good deer and you want it to be shared, we'll give you a shout out. You know, you kill a good deer, we'll give you a shout out of the deer, and we'll show the picture in the video. Absolutely.
I guess what we're saying too is you won't have to listen to us talk every time.
Yeah.
Right.
We're
Yes.
going to have guests on here to
Yes.
tell their stories and tactics, and I think we'll have a good time and learn a lot and hear some good
Very
stories.
interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
So those are some things to come. We talked about the Facebook page. There's an Instagram page, and of course on YouTube. We mentioned this last time. We're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yep.
All right, so the major platforms I would call it.
If you
we're
look
on.
for us, I've had several people ask, "Hey, you know, what do I look for?" Because they couldn't find us.
Yes,
so
that's where I was gonna
it's
go with
not
this.
just Outcast; it's Outcast Podcast
No. Well,
Yes,
yes,
it
yes.
is.
on
Yes.
Apple
Yeah.
And YouTube.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If
But-
you look for it on the podcast, it's the Outcast Hunting Podcast.
Yeah.
Outcast Hunting Podcast,
Or maybe
yeah.
it's just
And
the Outcast
we can,
Podcast.
We can
Yeah.
put our tags in the
Yes.
like at the video. We can put a tag or something up at the top so they
Yeah.
can see that.
But we were lucky
and we have
enough.
links on
Tags.
our
Yeah.
social media.
We were lucky enough to get the Outcast Hunting on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Okay.
So if anybody tries to look for us there, it's
Yeah.
Outcast Hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to search for us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, the Outcast Podcast.
Outcast Podcast. Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
We can add it right here. we can add it right there.
all right.
Pop it up. Put the
Another
pop-
thing, I'm really proud of this.
Yeah.
So, this was very hard to do.
Yeah.
Come up with a logo that we all liked.
Oh man, we went. Through,
I would
don't
come up
know
with
how
something
many.
and Talon would trash it.
I trashed a lot of them.
Good gracious.
Trashed a lot of them.
You would come up with something and I'd say negative.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
either my personal favorite, we would send something to the group message and be, hey, what do y'all think about this? And then it's just radio silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 days later.
And it's like, okay, they didn't like that. So, but we found something that
Or
we
2
all
days
liked.
later, it's I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
we're not
okay.
using that. You didn't even answer me for 2 days.
But we finally found something that we all like.
Yeah.
And we're going to use this as our logo going forward. And that is this right here. I don't know if they
you
can see that.
it. You can put it on the screen or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I got a little cup made for it.
Yeah.
And there's a coffee mug too.
Yeah, we got coffee mugs.
Look
we've got
good on shirts
Yep.
like that.
Thermos.
Like that circle
Yep.
there. It
Yeah,
look good on
yeah.
shirts.
We're gonna
stuff like that.
we're gonna do some things.
It's
but
nothing that we're making to sell or
Yeah,
anything
no,
like that.
no,
Not,
yeah.
you know, I mean, but by all means, if people are interested in it, then sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got that thermos. We've got mugs. We've got koozies.
Yep.
Yeah, a
But,
few
but we're
small
really going to start
knickknacks.
sharing that logo and really trying to brand ourselves
Right.
with that.
What we want to eventually get to, when you see that logo, we want you to think Outcast Hunting.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
know that's us. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I've got a thumbnail made already for your deer for this video. And the logo will be on that as well.
Okay. What's that thumbnail? Is it something decent or is it something
I
me
think it's
acting
good.
stupid?
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
All
It's
right.
not like the ones we've had in the past.
No.
So
Okay,
mine and his is, the smoke.
I think we're stepping up our game. I really do.
Absolutely,
I think
yeah.
it looks better.
Got you. Okay. Well, let's run with it.
Yeah.
Well,
You look ridiculous in it, but the deer looks good.
All right, this guy. Wait, y'all see him doing like this in the whole video, over there dancing, and I look ridiculous.
Well, is there anything else that we need to cover?
I think we've covered it.
Cue
Story of
cue the Kenny
Houdini.
Chesney.
That's it.
Oh.